Hello and welcome to Edukimi's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video, we shall discuss a previous year question from UPSC pre-examination asked in 2020. The question says, in India, why are some nuclear reactors kept under IAEA safeguards while others are not? I repeat the question, why are some of the nuclear reactors kept under IAEA safeguard, international body, while some others are not? Now, this question does have a history to it. Of course, it has a history, but before trying to jump into what the answer could be, let us at least read at the options, right? We might be able to eliminate some. So one option A says some use uranium and others use thorium. The second one says some use imported uranium and others use domestic supplies. Some are operated by foreign enterprise, some are operated by domestic enterprise. Some are state owned and others are privately owned. Now, you may be able to gauge some of the answers are outrightly wrong. However, we will not go by that mechanism. We will understand what is the principle behind it so that we understand the concept in totality, right? And then we will conclude what is the right answer. Now, before anything, let us quickly understand what this IAEA is about. This International Atomic Energy Agency, this is an important agency which is associated with the United Nations. It was formed in the year 1997 and it is headquartered at Vienna, Austria. Now, it has got some important mandate. Its mandate is to ensure intergovernmental forum, to have an intergovernmental forum where it should discuss technical cooperation regarding nuclear energy, right? So technical cooperation regarding nuclear energy. Second, safe, secure, peaceful usage of nuclear energy. That means, just catch the word peaceful. Peaceful means non-military usage, right? So that becomes very important. And the third one is contributing to international peace and security, right? So their basic agenda is to ensure that places where nuclear reactions are happening, places where nuclear energy is used for peaceful purposes, they should not be utilized for generating nuclear powered weapons, right? This is the main idea, right? So we will understand the hidden idea behind this. No military use, no nuclear weapons. This is the main idea, and that is why IAEA inspects these international bodies. Now, we must understand one important treaty, which was the basis on which IAEA does these kind of inspections. That treaty was Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Now, what is the meaning of non-proliferation? Non-proliferation just means not to expand its production, right? So we are talking of not to expand the production of the nuclear weapons, right? So it has got three important pillars. But before we discuss the pillars, let me explain to you, while this treaty was being discussed and debated and later signed in the year 1970, it came into force in 1970, five of the countries had already conducted their nuclear tests and they did own the nuclear bombs. We are talking of the P5 members themselves. USA, UK, France, Russia, that was erstwhile USSR. And then we have the last one was China, which conducted its nuclear bombardment exercises in 1960s itself. And you can well imagine how strategic this was, that this was signed in around 1966 and 68 and came into force in 1970. Right. So there was some tinge of some inequality while this signing was happening. We can very well understand that through the strategic ways in which this treaty was signed. Now, it has got three important pillars. It says non-proliferation. So no country will be expanding its nuclear arsenal, especially those countries which are non-nuclear. So it distributed the countries in two categories: nuclear owning, nuclear weapon owning, and nuclear weapon not owning. So the countries will not indulge in proliferation. This is one. Second is disarmament. All parties will indulge in disarming whatever nuclear arsenal they have. This also was applicable to nuclear states. The third one is peaceful usage of nuclear technology. That means the countries will help each other for peaceful usage, right? Now, these are three important pillars. However, some countries did not agree to it. Countries like India, countries like Pakistan, and then we have Israel. They said that there is some discrimination happening. And later, in fact, these countries also had their nuclear bombs produced. Now, the nuclear bomb production is one of the ways in which country can show its power. Not only show its power, it can act as a detrimental measure, right? It can deter the opposing forces. If India possesses these weapons, India can deter Pakistan acting against India, right? Because it has got a weapon, important weapon. So these were the strategic means because of which some countries did have their own nuclear power. Now, one important one Article 1 under this NPT, it says that the countries which have this nuclear technology, nuclear weapon technology, they will not transfer the weapon explosives. One, okay, I agree to it. The second one says that the countries which do not possess these nuclear weapons, they will not attempt to acquire them. And the third article says that all the countries will accept IAEA safeguard to verify their nuclear activities. See, all the countries will accept IAEA safeguards, and this is the place from where the question was asked. Now, it's not that we have to read so many things to understand what is this IAEA about, right? All we have to understand is that this safeguard was introduced so that countries, right, do not indulge in nuclear proliferation. Only that, right? But of course, India did not participate, Israel did not participate, and Pakistan did not participate, right? We did have some other countries. Now, India in 1974 itself conducted its nuclear operation. So this was called as Operation Smiling Buddha. It was called as Operation Smiling Buddha 1974, and it was conducted at Pokhran. After that, India was supposed to have nuclear weapons. Later, Pakistan also conducted along with India's second test. So we are talking of Changai 1 and Changai 2, right? So Pakistan conducted its nuclear operations weapon test in 1998. India conducted its second test in 1998. Israel already had it. Israel maintains a strategic anonymity, and in fact, anonymity in international space about its nuclear weapon program. But Israel does possess it. So getting surrounded by so many powerful Gulf nations, Israel probably thought it is required, and they did not. Neither of these countries did sign NPT then. What about North Korea? North Korea had signed it, but later it went out of the treaty, and it did openly test nuclear bombs. South Africa was one country which created nuclear weapons, and later it disarmed itself, right? So it was one of the countries which disarmed itself. Also, there were certain countries which got these nuclear weapons. So USSR, when it got dismantled into the different countries, federations, then certain countries, Belarus and other countries did gain nuclear weapon. They disbanded them again, right? Libya, Syria, Iran, they all have their own story, similar story, which talks about possessing nuclear weapons, probably possessing or maybe dismantling after that. Now, one important thing here is what happened when India possesses these kind of weapons. It becomes a threat to other countries, and therefore there was a treaty which was signed just in the year 1974 when India had tested its nuclear weapons program. That treaty was called as Nuclear Suppliers Group. So certain countries, around 40 in number, they said we will supply nuclear material, nuclear technology, and the nuclear supplies also to those countries which do not have it. Suppose P5 countries have this technology, they have, and certain other countries like Australia, like Namibia, like Canada, these countries possess the nuclear fuel as well. So fuel along with technology, along with certain important things required, they will transfer amongst themselves, provided you are using it only for peaceful purposes, right? And IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, will be ensuring that you're doing only for peaceful purposes, right? India was not a signatory again, right? Because India was not made to sign this NSG, specifically because India did not sign NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. India said this is discriminatory, right? Why are only permanent 5 having these weapons and we can't have these weapons? So India, Pakistan, Israel, all these said we are not going to sign NPT, and these countries were also excluded out of suppliers group. So no sharing of technology, no sharing of nuclear resources like fuel with each other. But India was a growing power, right? This is 1974. India also conducted another weapon test in 1998. We see Indira Gandhi in the background. So in 2008, right, this nuclear embargo against India, it was dismantled. It was curtailed because United States said that India is an emerging economy and India is a peaceful nation. We will have this nuclear exchange with India. And this is where companies like General Electric, Westinghouse, they started to interact with India to be able to ensure that peaceful nuclear energy is installed in India and it is utilized in India. This will give a lot of potential for not only India, but profits to USA also. And that is why since these companies started to operate in India, GE, Westinghouse, Rosatom from Russia, and then EDF, these companies started to operate. So this fuel, this technology was brought from where? From abroad. Yes. And this is why, since they were used for peaceful purposes, IAEA has got full power and authority to be able to inspect these installations. Whereas NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, and then we have UCIL, Uranium Corporation of India Limited. These are all state-owned companies. The Uranium Corporation is into exploration of nuclear resources, and NPCIL is about providing indigenous ways of energy production, nuclear energy production in the country. So these will not be inspected. If we are using these fuel, the outside fuel in India, they will be inspected, right? So very simple. We have understood what is the background to it. Now let us get back to the question once again very quickly. The question says, some are uranium and some are thorium. No, that is not the reason. Whether we are using uranium, plutonium or thorium. What is about IAEA? It is about peaceful usage, right? So let us get into the second one. Some use imported uranium and other use domestic uranium. Okay, let us consider this. The third one is some are operated by foreign enterprise and some are operated by domestic enterprise. No, it is not so that since they are operated by foreign enterprise, that is why they should be inspected or not. Some are state-owned and others are privately owned. See, earlier India had only state-owned. What about privately and state? It is not about it. So the most viable option here is some use imported uranium and other use domestic supplies, because this imported uranium was given to India only because India was considered a responsible nation post 2008, and that is why IAEA is liable to inspect these to ensure that these outside fuel is not used for nuclear purposes, nuclear bomb creation purposes. They can be used for nuclear peaceful purposes, right? And domestic fuel, okay, fine, you do whatever you want to do. So that is why they don't have authority to inspect our domestic supplies, because India will not be giving inspection to those kind of places which are strategic to its needs, which are probably actually utilizing the nuclear energy for development of nuclear weapons for its own safety, right? So this is the PYQ. A little confusing, but yes, very important to understand, because this is a very conceptual question. And slowly and steadily, countries like India, Pakistan, there's a conversation of including them in the nuclear supplier group, but only after signing the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. This is what some powers like China say. So China is very much objecting India's participation in energy. But yes, India is still importing the nuclear supplies, nuclear fuel from countries like Canada, from countries in Africa, from Kazakhstan, now USA, France, and we have Australia. Many countries are going to empower India through nuclear energy, even when India has not signed, is not a part of nuclear supplier group. So that is in very much favor of our own country. If you like this video, do shower some love on us through likes, comments and shares. If you subscribe to the channel, you will receive timely updates. Thanks for watching.